Welcome to this class. Today we are going to study the comparison contrast pattern of organization. Let's start. In its website, the University of Washington explains that there are many patterns a writer can use to organize his or her ideas. The specific pattern or combination of patterns chosen depends upon the particular topic and the objectives the writer has identified for the document. There is no rule to follow in choosing a pattern of organization. One must simply think carefully about which pattern makes the most sense in helping the reader to better understand and remember the information. There are many different ways of organizing the same information, and often two or more different organizational patterns are combined to create a finite outline of information. In their book, Advanced Reading Power, Michalecki and Jeffries explain that in the comparison contrast pattern, the writer's main idea is a general statement about two things and how they are similar and or different. A comparison can include both similarities and differences, or only the similarities. A contrast states only differences. They present there a list of different types of words we may find when we are reading material written in the comparison contrast pattern. Let's take a look at these examples. For the keywords and phrases in the main idea, we can find the following words: similarities, differences, both, in common, same, different, compare, comparison. For the signal words or phrases to express similarities, we can find, for example, similarly, also, in the same way, as, like, both, in common. Finally, for the signal words or phrases that express differences, we can find however, but, on the other hand, although, while, in contrast, than, conversely, yet, and unlike. Let's start working with the comparison pattern. In his book, 10 Steps to Building College Reading Skills, Langan introduces us to this topic with a couple of examples. Let's take a look at them. Choose the item that is easier to understand. Human infants suck their thumbs, baby elephants suck their trunks. Just as human infants suck their thumbs, baby elephants suck their trunks. If you chose the second one, that is correct. Langan explains that the first item makes us wonder what the author is focusing on, how human infants and baby elephants are alike or how they are different. The words just as in the second version shows the author is focusing on the similarity. Just as and words like them are comparison words. Langan states that authors use comparison words to point out that one thing is like another in some way. Here are some common comparison words that Langan presents in his book, 10 Steps to Building College Reading Skills. Let's take a look at this list of comparison words. Let's read them. These comparison words could be just or just as, just or just like, alike, likewise, in like manner, similar or similarly, similarity, in a similar manner, same, in the same way, resemble, and equally. Let's take a look at some more examples. The sentences below contain comparison words. Notice how these words show that things are alike in some way. The carpet was so old and faded, it looked like a gray shadow. Parents today often dislike the music their children listen to, just as their own parents disliked the Beatles or the Rolling Stones. Cabbage is a vegetable that can be grown in cold weather. Likewise, turnips can survive in a garden well into the winter. Now let's continue checking some examples showing contrast. Choose the item that is easier to understand. Number 1. The weather in Florida is usually wonderful, but the summers are hot and humid. Second, the weather in Florida is usually wonderful. The summers are hot and humid. Langan explains that in the second item, we are not sure if the author feels that the weather in Florida is wonderful because of or despite the hot and humid summers. The transition but in the first item makes the relationship clear. The weather in Florida is wonderful despite the summer heat and humidity. But and words, like it, are known as contrast words. Langan states that authors use contrast words to point out that two things differ in one or more ways. Here are some common contrast words. Let's read the list. Examples of contrast words are but, yet, however, although, nevertheless, instead, in contrast, on the other hand, on the contrary, even though, still, as opposed to, in spite of, despite, rather than, difference, different or differently, differ from, unlike, and while. The sentences below contain contrast words. Notice how these words signal that one idea is different from another idea. First, there are advantages to getting my own apartment. On the other hand, living at home is much cheaper. Second example, although he is short, Rico is a star basketball player. And last example, only 10% of the population are left-handed. In contrast, among babies that are born more than 2 months prematurely, 54% are left-handed. To introduce the comparison contrast pattern, this means both features together, Langan presents the following example. Let's read the instructions. Arrange the following group of sentences in an order that makes sense. Decide which sentence will be number 1, number 2, and number 3. The result will be a short paragraph. Sentence 1. The snakes have similar markings, red, yellow, and black bands. Second, the coral snake and the milk snake may look alike, but there's an important difference between them. However, the milk snake is harmless and the coral snake is very poisonous. The first sentence of this paragraph is the general one, the one with the main idea. The coral snake and the milk snake may look alike, but there is an important difference between them. The words alike, but, and difference suggest a comparison contrast pattern, as the comparison word similar and the contrast word, however, suggest the other two sentences do, in fact, compare and contrast two things. The snakes have similar markings, red, yellow, and black bands. However, the milk snake is harmless and the coral snake is very poisonous. Langan explains that the comparison contrast pattern shows how two things are alike or how they are different, or both. When things are compared, their similarities are pointed out. When things are contrasted, their differences are discussed. Let's practice with the following paragraph taken from the book 10 Steps to Building College Reading Skills. In the following paragraph, the main idea is stated in the first sentence. As is often the case, the main idea suggests a paragraph's pattern of organization. Here, the transition differ is a hint that the paragraph may be organized in a comparison contrast pattern. Let's read. Humans differ from other primates, but not as much as one might think. It's true that there are important differences in size and shape between humans and other primates. And, of course, humans are by far the more intelligent. It is also true that there are striking similarities between the two. To use chimpanzees as an example, both they and humans have the same muscles and bones, located in almost the same places and working nearly the same ways. The internal organs of both animals are also very much alike, as are their blood and other body fluids. Seen under a microscope, even their genes are strikingly similar. Now answer the following questions. Is this paragraph comparing, contrasting, or both? What two things are being compared and or contrasted? And finally, mention 4 of the 7 comparison and or contrast words that are used in the paragraph. Langen explains that the paragraph discusses both similarities and differences. First, it contrasts humans and other primates in terms of size, shape, and intelligence. The words used to indicate that contrast are differ, but, and differences. The paragraph also discusses similarities between humans and other primates in their muscles, bones, internal organs, body fluids, and genes. And the words used to indicate comparison are similarities, same, alike, and similar. Well, dear students, this is all for today's class. Thank you very much for your attention.